Hello, this is me, John Boynton. In 2004, in January, I stepped on the scale and weighed 236 pounds. But now, hello, once again, my name is John Boynton, aka 236 pounds no more. I am so excited today for this interview, and I'll tell you why. You know, when I'm looking at YouTube, I'm going through the different channels and all that, and finally see this channel. It talks about change. Change is possible. And I go ahead and look at this video, and it starts out, you know, with a cute, cute girl picture, you know, growing up and all that, and all of a sudden, it's the teenage years, and you see the this person transform from a cute little girl into this pretty big overweight person, and it's really touching. And all of a sudden, you see a change possible, and you got to go and check it out. You just got to go and check it out for yourself. It's totally incredible. On a personal note, it kind of took me back to 2004 when I stepped on the scales weighing 236 pounds, hence 236 pounds no more. My special guest today is she calls herself Miss Krispy on YouTube. Miss Krispy, you're with us.
I am here, John. How are you?
I'm doing great and very excited for this interview. You ready to go?
I am ready to go.
When did you start to have a weight problem?
I was overweight from the beginning, from a little child, actually, about 4 years old on.
Now, how did it make you feel when you started to gain the weight, a rapid weight gain?
It made me feel hopeless, some real true despair, and knowing that I really had no options and feeling like I was trapped, no way out. So I didn't really have any motivation to try anymore once the weight just really started to pack on in my late teens.
Growing up with all the weight issues, did you ever feel discriminated against?
Absolutely. I believe that overweight people are somewhat discriminated. I would say they should put size next to race, origin, and sexual orientation. Size is definitely something that is a discriminatory aspect of life these days, especially in the workplace and all over. Discrimination is huge with obese people.
Now, have you ever tried any diets?
I actually tried everything. You want to name it, I've tried it. Hypnosis, weight loss camps, Weight Watchers, Atkins. I had tried every single diet I could. I dieted from the age of 5 or 6 all the way up until a week before I had surgery. I've been on a diet my entire life.
How did you gain the weight?
I gained the weight initially just keeping it on as a child, and then gaining it more quickly through non-activity and through a bad diet, eating supersized portions and just not really caring about my intake of food.
So what was the pivotal point when you decided I have to do something major about this issue?
The pivotal point came when I was 19 years old, and I had just gotten out of a bad relationship with a 30-year-old man. At the time I was 19, and if that tells you anything, it says that 19-year-olds shouldn't date 30-year-old men. They should date people their age and that are good for them. So he actually told me subconsciously that I needed to do better for myself in so many ways. So at the point where he broke up with me and basically treated me terribly, I decided that I wanted to change my life and become better for myself. I also was not feeling well physically. I was physically unable to work. I had sleep apnea, and I was tired of everything. I just decided today is the day I'm changing my life, and I never ever looked back, John. Never.
Now, how did you start to lose the weight?
Initially, I was obviously with the gastric bypass surgery. I had that on June 4th of 2002. I lost 13 pounds the first week, and it progressed, and I've now lost up to, well, totaling, I like to say a nicer number, 200 pounds within 5 years.
You're an advocate for the weight loss or the gastric bypass surgery on YouTube?
I am. I use my YouTube to essentially raise awareness for the obesity issue, firstly. And next, I'm actually working on an issue in my state. I'm trying to get a bill passed that would require all insurance companies within my state to cover gastric bypass surgery. And I've got some things coming up with legislators and things like that where I'm going to be talking and sharing my story. So essentially my purpose on YouTube and on the internet and in life generally is just to raise awareness and to teach those that don't understand what gastric bypass is, how much it can help those that it's good for.
For the people out there that say, why should insurance cover a gastric bypass surgery? After all, if a person creates their weight by overeating and not being disciplined or anything else like that, what would you say to that?
I would say to that you look at any state in the United States, there are programs that the state establishes to help with addictions, for drugs, for alcohol, for sex addiction. I mean, there are so many different programs that the state establishes and covers through their funds. And when a person who is by themselves buying their own alcohol, purchasing their own drugs on the street, they are putting themselves into that place. And someone who has a food addiction, they can eat food anywhere they want, and no one can really say anything to them because it's basically a need to live. It's a requirement to be alive is to eat. So with food addiction, it's yes, their fault, but if the state's going to help other addictions, why not? Why not people like me and you who find that food is something that they need not only emotionally but also physically?
Ironically, you go to your site, you're called Miss Krispy. Where did you get the name Miss Krispy?
Miss Krispy came from when I was at fitness camp when I was 15 years old. I talked about loving Krispy Kreme donuts so much, and a girl said, "Oh yeah, you're like a Krispy Kreme donut," and I realized I was round and sweet. But at this point, obviously, I'm not round and sweet, but I still love Krispy Kreme donuts, and to this day, I still eat them, even though I've had gastric bypass.
It's typical for people to look at junk food as a big creator of overweight or obesity and all that, and they look at your page, you have the Krispy Kreme donuts, and by the way, very good good VCAS, and you are by there and all that kind of stuff, and that might seem temptation to some people that are trying to lose weight. Why do you focus a lot about food on your space?
The reason why I focus on food is because food is an overweight person's biggest enemy. It's their biggest elephant in the room. They can't. It will never leave. It will always be in front of their face. You know, if someone can eliminate drugs and alcohol from their life, and they can lose friends, and they can go away from influences like that, but food will always be there. And really, taking your fear in front of your face and conquering it and realizing it, you know, food is a scary thing if it controls your life. But if you learn to control the food, then you can have it around you anytime you want, and you can have the strength to say no. And if you want it, you can have some, but in moderation, and obviously in a way that is healthy and not crazy like I was eating before.
Would you say there is a possible way of conquering food?
There is a possible way of conquering food. There's many different ways of conquering a problem. You have a problem or a situation, scientifically, you can look at it from so many different ways and aspects. And my cause in talking about gastric bypass, there is no one answer for every problem. Every problem has so many solutions, and every person is so different. And so when you find a way that works for you in losing weight, if it's diet and exercise, if it's weight loss camp, if it's Weight Watchers, if it's gastric bypass, each person is different. So each person's solution is different.
Now we talk about goals here on the interviews, and obviously you've reached your goal of weight loss as far as with the gastric bypass surgery. What are your goals currently right now?
My goals are goals that I never thought I would have when I was an obese person. My goals are to start a family, raise children, be healthy enough that I can teach them good eating habits. My goals are to continue in my successful career and move up the career ladder when before I couldn't even get a basic McDonald's job. My goals are to become more healthy and exercising and really building and toning muscle. If you tell that to an overweight person, do you want to tone muscle? They'll say, "Ha, I gotta lose the weight first." So they can't focus on real, true, fun life goals like having children and being successful and thinking about just outside of that overweight box that they're trapped in.
Miss Krispy, I want to thank you so much for this interview. This is totally awesome. A lot of insight. And
My pleasure, John.
they can go to your YouTube, and you have a MySpace where you have a lot of resources as far as gastric bypass surgery information?
I do, and I'm developing my MySpace page right now. I just got it up. It's at www.myspace.com/Miss Krispy, and that's Krispy with a K, MISSKRISTY. I'm also at YouTube at username Miss Krispy. And as I develop my MySpace page, I'll be able to post resources for obesity, not just on the gastric bypass side, but just real support for people that are trying to get the weight off.
All right, well, thank you very much, Miss Krispy, for the interview. And I'm pretty sure this will definitely bring a lot of awareness to the people out there. Thank
Great.
you,
Oh, it's
and
my pleasure, John, and thanks for interviewing me and helping me raise awareness. I appreciate it.
no problem. We'll see you next time on the interviews of 236 Pounds No More.